Hi, good morning friends. So today we are going to be discuss about session C 20 mark questions in unit 3. Actually here I just selected May June 2016 question from A level economics EdExcel 2020. So we can see that how to address an essay question from here. So here first we will explain the question. What is the question? The main factor which constrains the growth of small business is limited access to finance. To what extent do you agree with the statement? Question is very simple question. Just listen very carefully. The main factor which constrains the growth of small firm. The main factor which constrains the growth of small firm is limited access to finance. To what extent do you agree with the statement? So we can able to see, you have to be understand the main factor they are saying that limited access to finance, that is the constraint, that means which will limits the growth of a small business. So here how to answer this question? In this question we have a four part. First part is knowledge and understanding. You will be getting 2 marks for this one. That particular question we have a two word small business. What do you mean by a small business? We can able to define it like that. It is maybe based on the market share you can define a small business, or by based on the value of capital, or annual revenue, or number of employees. For example, we already discussed that if it is less than 250 employees means we will be considered as a small and medium scale enterprises. So based on that, anyway you can able to define it. Then what do you mean by finance? Access to finance is the main reason for the uh, constant for the growth of small firms there in the question. So finance, what do you mean by finance here? Finance here, it means that money used for further investment in the business. Keep in mind, finance here means that what money used for further investment in the business. So if you are defining these two concepts, you will be get a 2 marks knowledge portion mark you are scared. So after that we are going for the application part. What do you mean by application? Application means logical and coherent multi-stage chains of reasoning need to be developed with reference to the context where appropriate. In this part you will be get a 5 marks. So here you have to be develop a chain of reasoning. That is the most important factor. So we are saying that access to finance is limited. Because why access to finance is limited? That's what we are explaining here in the application part. For example, relatively small amount of retained profit. We knows that the objective of the small firm is the normal profit. So they are not having any previous supernormal profit. If they had a previously supernormal profit, they can able to use that one for further investment. But now what is the problem is that the small firms are having very relatively small amount of retained profit, so that they cannot be grow furthermore. When you are checking about the second point, banking sector may be less willing to lend the money. We already knows that small firms means they are having only very little amount of assets. That means capital and everything is limited, so that the banks will not feel uh, convenient for giving a loans for the small business. So that's banking sector will be less willing to lend the money for the small business. That's why what will happen, the business cannot be get enough finance to grow. Then small firms will have little or no opportunity to raise the share capital on the open market. We already knows that it is not a public limited company to raise the shares in the stock market. Why? Because it is very small, so they can't go for like that. So that what will happen, they will get a limited access to finance. That is the reason. Then finance market may be fragmented, particularly in developing countries. You know that in the case of developing countries, the financial sector is not well organized or well developed. So there is no proper channel or proper way to get a easy finance. So it is fragmented, means it is divided into the different small, very tiny small financial units, so that we can't able to get the enough amount of finance for that development of our business. So we are saying that yes, access to finance is the main reason for the that is a main constraint which limits the growth of a small business. So these are the portion points we are going to be discussing in the application point. Now we can see that in analysis part what we can. So analysis, you can able to score 5 marks in this portion. So analysis point means that the validity and the significance of the argument. You said that, isn't it? that argument is what, yeah, access of a lack of access to the finance is the basic reason for the growth of small business, or we can able to say that limited access to finance is the main constraint for the growth. Limited access to finance, is it the only the reason? There are some other factors which constrain the business growth. So here in analysis part we are going to be develop the chain. What are the other factors which constrain the growth of a small business? The first point is that the objective of the owners and managers. Suppose we can able to see that the owners, if the owner may be satisfied with the keeping the business small, that particular owner does not want to grow the business furthermore. Why? Because in his point of view, growth may be risky, or it may be quite expensive, or it will be take a time consuming process, and he may be feel a lack of managerial skills, so that he doesn't want to grow furthermore. In that situation, we can't able to say that yes, because of the objective of the owner only, the business is small. So this is the one of the other factor which constrain the growth, business growth. Then size and composition of the market. That is also another one factor. Maybe that particular market may be limited scope, lack of scope for the growth in that particular market. That particular market, there is no scope for further growth. And maybe it may be a localized market. Only for that particular region they are using that particular product. Like that means the size and composition of the market is very limited. Then third factor is the macroeconomic climate. That is the most important factor here. You can know, you already experiencing at present now, because of that COVID-19, what happened to our macroeconomic system. You knows that the effective demand is very low. Maybe economic growth may be very slow. Economy is going to be a recession, or we can able to say that purchasing power of the people are reduced. They are not going for a work, or they are not getting enough income. And future uncertainty, we don't know when the lockdown will be over, when the economy will perform normal way. So it is very difficult. And even banks are closed down. So high interest rate, if suppose the economy is experiencing high interest rate, or the economy is experiencing high inflation rate for some product, and high unemployment rate, or some other problems like lack of skilled laborers, or some other problem. For example, we can't able to say that there are finance is not only the reason for the limited factor which limits the growth of small business. There are some other factors even, especially when you're checking about the macroeconomic factor, that is, those factors are most important. Then other factor, a most important factor we are saying is that high and legal administration cost and government bureaucracy and cut on the government spending, etc. So government policy towards the small firms, that is also one of the key factor which will affect the small firms growth. So these are the factors, and you have to be develop how these factors will affect the business, and you have to be develop the chain of the arguments. For example, you can see here, supported by the considered and supported by the relevant chain of reasoning. You have to be develop these points furthermore. Then only you can able to score the 5 marks in the analysis portion. So this is analysis portion. Then we can able to go for the side. So evaluation, you have to be score about 8 marks here. So make sure that you are developing well in this part. There should also be a critical assessment of the evidence. What are the points you said? You said yes, finance is the most important factor in the knowledge application analysis part. So now here we are going to say that that is not at all important. There are some other factors in analysis part. You already developed those part. So here you have to be say that the question statement is that you already knows that limited access to finance is the main constraint for the growth. So that is not the main constraint. There are some other constraints. Those factors only we are going to be developed here. So it is difficult to access whether the access to finance is to the most important constraint. We can't able to assess that yes, finance is a basic reason. There are so many factors we already discussed. So prioritization is not possible. The main factor is not finance, or the main factor is not the finance. There are so many other factors we already discussed. Those factors also we have to be considered. So it is very difficult to assess the prioritization of factors. Okay. Then second factor, the main factor which limits the growth of the business is business objective. I told you the owner of the business, how he feel. If he is adamantly want to develop his business, then surely he will find his own way to develop his business. So the business objective is the prime factor. Depends upon whether the small business owner want the business grow or not. If he want to grow means somehow he will find. If he doesn't want means he will don't want. That's all. If whatever may be happen, he doesn't want to grow furthermore means that nothing will be happen. The entrepreneur itself is not interested to grow means we cannot be say that. So finance is not the main person. We are saying that business objective may be the main factor, or otherwise we can able to say that macroeconomic factors in short run. At present, entire business is affected because of the macroeconomic factors, especially COVID-19. So we can't able to say that the economic growth forecasts are surprisingly stopped. The entire economy, world economy is start. For example, we faced a 2008 recession. Okay, that is a part, but now we are going to face a severe recession greater than the 2008. Why? Because of that recession may be happened in really subprime crisis in particular countries, but now this COVID-19 is affecting the entire world economy. So we cannot be say that how much deep it will be. So the prediction for the other economic indicators, we cannot predict what will happen in future. That's what the present situation. Then how we can able to say that finance is the only the reason for that? So, or the last factor evaluation point I am going to be discussed here is the government policy towards the small business. If what may be happen, government is giving a helping hand, surely that particular business can able to grow furthermore. If the government is providing subsidy like financial benefits, tax concessions, help, advice, sometimes the managerial help, pressure on the banking sector to encourage the small business growth. For example, government is forcing the financial sector to provide loans for the small firms, then of course that problem for lack of finance also be solved. So we cannot be say that which factor is most important. So these points you have to be developed in the evaluation part, so that you can able to write a very good essay for that particular question. So I hope you guys will be get an idea how to write an essay for this question, and I would like to share a sample essay in your Google Classroom. So I will do that. So before that I need your essay. After that only I will do that. So try to write this question answers as early as possible and try to submit it. Okay, thank you very much.